It all started on a cool Friday night, the kind of evening when the world feels full of possibility and the air is thick with anticipation. The streets were quiet, but for a group of teenagers, the night was just beginning, a night that would change everything for one of them. Under the dim glow of a single streetlight behind the high school bleachers, shadows stretched long across the empty seats, and the distant hum of traffic was the only sound. 15-year-old Leo stood with a group of older kids, his heart pounding in his chest. He was desperate to fit in, to be seen as more than just the quiet kid from class. Tonight, he wanted to belong. Mark, a senior with a reputation for being cool and fearless, offered Leo a cigarette. The gesture seemed casual, but to Leo, it felt like a test, a moment that would define how the others saw him. The group watched, silent and expectant, their eyes fixed on Leo. The air was thick with unspoken pressure, and Leo could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on him. The unlit cigarette felt foreign in Leo's hand, a ticket to acceptance or a mistake he couldn't take back. Leo's heart pounded even harder as he stared at it, torn between fear and the desire to be included. He remembered the warnings from his parents and coach, their voices echoing in his mind about making good choices and staying true to himself. But in that moment, those words felt distant, almost unreal, drowned out by the need to fit in. The pressure was heavy, unspoken, but real. Leo could sense the tension in the air, the way everyone seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what he would do. Wanting to belong, Leo put the cigarette to his lips. Mark leaned in and lit it for him. The first inhale burned his throat and lungs, a harsh introduction to a world he'd only seen from the outside. Leo coughed, his eyes watering as the older kids burst into laughter. The sound stung, but he forced himself to laugh along, trying to hide his embarrassment. "You get used to it," Mark said, patting him on the back. The gesture was meant to be reassuring, but Leo felt a wave of uncertainty wash over him. Leo forced a smile, but inside he felt dizzy and sick. The world seemed to spin, and he wondered if he'd made a terrible mistake. That single puff was a crossroads, a small decision with big consequences. In that instant, Leo's life took a turn he never expected. The discomfort faded over time, replaced by routine, then by something darker, addiction. What started as a single act to fit in became a habit he couldn't shake, a daily ritual that slowly took over his life. Leo's desire to fit in led him into a trap he never saw coming. The laughter and acceptance he craved were fleeting, but the consequences lingered. It wasn't about the taste, it was about the ritual, the social bond, the illusion of being someone else, someone stronger, more confident, more accepted. That one choice set a course he would spend years trying to change. Looking back, Leo realized how a single moment, a single decision could echo through a lifetime, shaping who he became and what he valued most. Why do so many people, like Leo, take that first puff? What draws someone to light up a cigarette for the very first time, even when they know the risks? The answer isn't simple. There's a mix of reasons, emotions, and influences at play. It often starts in a social setting. Imagine being at a party or hanging out with friends, and someone offers you a cigarette. In that moment, it can feel like a ticket to fitting in, a way to be part of the group. Peer pressure is powerful. The need to belong can outweigh everything else. The fear of being left out or judged can push someone to try smoking, even if they're unsure or hesitant. Saying no can feel like rejecting friendship itself. For many teens, the idea of standing out or being different is scary, so they go along even if it doesn't feel right. Curiosity also plays a role. There's a natural urge to find out what smoking feels like, especially when it's talked about or seen everywhere. Teens see adults and media glamorize smoking, sparking questions. What's it like? Why do people do it? Family influence matters too. When movies, TV shows, or even social media make smoking look cool or rebellious, it can be tempting to try it out. If parents or siblings smoke, it feels normal, not dangerous. The habit can seem like just another part of daily life, not something to be afraid of. Early exposure at home can override health warnings from school or media. When you see people you trust smoking, it's easy to ignore the dangers you hear about elsewhere. Some start smoking to cope with stress or anxiety, believing it helps them relax. The idea that a cigarette can calm nerves or make problems fade away is a powerful lure, especially during tough times. But nicotine's relief is short-lived, quickly replaced by dependence. The comfort it brings fades fast, leaving behind a craving that only grows stronger. The brain starts to crave nicotine just to feel normal, creating a cycle that's hard to break. What once felt like a choice soon becomes a need. What begins as a search for acceptance, curiosity, or relief becomes a much bigger problem, one that can take years to escape. Understanding why we light up, is the first step to breaking the cycle. For decades, media made smoking look cool. From the earliest days of film and television, cigarettes were more than just props. They were symbols of status, rebellion, and allure. The silver screen was filled with characters whose cigarettes seemed to define their personalities, making smoking appear not only normal, but desirable. Old movies showed heroes lighting up after a victory or glamorous women smoking elegantly. These moments weren't just background details, they were carefully crafted to make smoking look sophisticated and even aspirational. The act of lighting a cigarette became a cinematic shorthand for confidence, mystery, and even romance. These images linked smoking to confidence, rebellion, and sophistication. For many viewers, especially young people, these portrayals shaped their ideas about what it meant to be cool or grown up. The message was clear. If you wanted to stand out, to be noticed, a cigarette was the accessory of choice. Even after cigarette ads were banned, smoking kept showing up in movies, TV, and now on social media. The platforms may have changed, but the imagery stayed powerful. Today, influencers and celebrities still post photos with cigarettes or vapes, reaching millions of followers in seconds. When favorite actors or influencers smoke, it normalizes the habit for young viewers. It sends a subtle message that smoking is just a part of everyday life, or even a way to express individuality and style. This influence can be especially strong for teens who are still figuring out their identities. The tobacco industry sold rebellion, style, and independence, not the reality of addiction and disease. Their ads were designed to make smoking look like a ticket to freedom, while hiding the harsh consequences behind glamorous images and catchy slogans. They sponsored events, designed sleek packaging, and targeted young people with flavored products. By associating cigarettes and vapes with music, sports, and parties, they made these products seem like essential parts of a fun, exciting lifestyle. Today, vaping and e-cigarettes are marketed as trendy and safe, but they carry their own risks. The bright colors and sweet flavors are meant to attract a new generation, but the dangers, addiction, lung damage, and more are still very real. The message is the same. Smoking is modern and social. Whether it's a cigarette or a vape, the image is carefully crafted to make it look like the key to fitting in and having fun. The delivery has changed, but the dangerous allure remains. Slick ads and viral posts may look different from old movie scenes, but they still sell the same fantasy. Media still sells the fantasy, not the deadly truth. The reality, addiction, illness, and loss is rarely shown, hidden behind a smokescreen of glamour and excitement. Don't fall for the illusion. Remember, what looks cool on screen can have serious consequences in real life. Make choices based on truth, not media fantasy. A cigarette isn't just tobacco rolled in paper. It's a highly engineered drug device. Burning one releases over 7,000 chemicals. At least 70 cause cancer. Nicotine is the addictive hook, but tar, carbon monoxide, arsenic, and formaldehyde do the real damage. Tar coats your lungs, destroying their ability to clean themselves. Carbon monoxide robs your blood of oxygen, straining your heart. Other poisons, like arsenic and hydrogen cyanide, attack every organ. Each puff spreads toxins throughout your body, causing damage at a cellular level. These aren't harmless substances, they're deadly. Understanding what's inside a cigarette is the first step to realizing the real danger. Smoking's most immediate damage hits your lungs. Tar coats the air sacs, making it harder to breathe and leading to diseases like COPD. Your lungs lose elasticity and every breath becomes a struggle. The heart suffers too. Carbon monoxide reduces oxygen, while nicotine raises heart rate and blood pressure. Arteries narrow and harden, increasing the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Blood gets stickier, making clots more likely. Circulation drops, especially to hands and feet, raising the risk of painful artery disease. Smoking doesn't just cause lung cancer, it's linked to cancers throughout the body. It weakens your immune system and ages your appearance. Every organ suffers from the toxic effects of smoking. When you smoke, nicotine races to your brain in seconds. It hijacks your brain's reward system, triggering a rush of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. Your brain quickly adapts, needing nicotine just to feel normal. This is addiction. You don't smoke to feel good, but to avoid feeling bad. When you try to quit, dopamine drops, causing withdrawal. Irritability, anxiety, cravings, these symptoms are real, not a sign of weakness. Over time, addiction rewires your brain, making quitting even harder. Chronic smoking increases the risk of cognitive decline and worsens anxiety and depression. Many start smoking to cope with stress, but the addiction cycle makes it worse. The relief is brief, the cravings return stronger. Your brain becomes a prisoner to nicotine. Breaking free is tough, but possible. Smoking doesn't just harm the smoker, it endangers everyone nearby. Secondhand smoke is a toxic mix, especially dangerous for children. Kids exposed to it face higher risks of asthma, infections, and even sudden infant death. Adults living with smokers have a much higher risk of lung cancer and heart disease. Even brief exposure can trigger serious health problems, especially for those with asthma or heart issues. Pets are at risk too. Creating smoke-free spaces protects your loved ones. Quitting isn't just for you, it's for everyone around you. Quitting smoking is hard, but it's one of the best things you can do. Nicotine addiction is both physical and psychological. Smoking becomes tied to routines, morning coffee, work breaks, stress. Most smokers try to quit several times before succeeding. Relapse isn't failure, it's part of the process. Each attempt teaches you more about your triggers. Withdrawal symptoms, cravings, irritability, trouble sleeping are intense but temporary. Your body is healing, even if it feels tough. Psychological triggers can be just as strong as physical ones. The key is to develop new, healthy habits to replace smoking. Go for a walk, chew gum, call a friend, find what works for you. Every cigarette you skip is a victory. Don't give up. If you want to quit, know that help is out there. Decide on a quit date and tell your friends and family. They can support you. Talk to your doctor about nicotine replacement or medications to ease withdrawal. You don't have to rely on willpower alone. Build new routines. Exercise, try new hobbies, change up your daily patterns. Avoid old triggers. If you smoked with coffee, try tea or a new location. The benefits start fast. Within 20 minutes, your heart rate drops. Within weeks, your lungs and circulation improve. Over time, your risk of heart attack, stroke, and cancer falls dramatically. You'll have more energy, better senses, and save money. Quitting is a journey, but it's the best gift you can give yourself and those you love. Take the first step today. You can do this.